What's up, everybody? Gather around, gather around. It's your man Chuck Creekmur, aka Jigsaw, here with Shana Melius, and she's running for Congress. Hip hop's in the building, y'all. We have a great conversation today. Yours truly will be moderating with Shana, and we got Maino coming through, Jazmyn Summer coming through, and Esso coming through. You know, these are some heavy hitters, so we're gonna have a very spirited conversation about politics, community, the election that's on the horizon, which everybody is scared of right now. I think maybe a little, maybe not too scared, a little scared. But Shana, did you want to talk a little bit about your bid for Congress, real quick before we get started?
Yes. Thank you for having me today. I'm actually running for New Jersey's 10th congressional district. I used to work for the late Congressman Donald Payne Jr., where I handled immigration, visas, as well as postal and Social Security issues. So I'm running for his seat.
So do you have a platform that you're running on that you would like to tell folks about?
I mean, yeah, it's a bunch of stuff. You know, definitely most people know me as a social justice, social equitable opportunity person. So that's pretty much what, you know, my goal is more so providing opportunities for small businesses. While working there, I actually helped a lot of business become MWBE certified. And we're going to be talking about that and the importance of that as well for small businesses.
All right, well, let's get it started. Let's bring in our other guests. One of the homies, Maino, who's like the mayor of the city. We know that Eric Adams is considered the mayor, but I actually consider Maino the mayor of the city now, man. He out here really brokering peace. Still got the bars going on. You know what I mean? How you feeling today, my brother?
Damn, Chuck, that right there, man. Like, I don't know if I can live up to that intro right there, man.
Come on, man. Let's do it. You know what I mean? Let's go.
Oh my God, I'm good, bro. Yeah. I feel good.
All right. Next up, we got Esso, the dude that's eating everybody's food on the podcast side of things. You know what I mean? Shaking up the conversations and everything. How you doing?
Yes, sir. I'm doing great. Just glad to be here to join the conversation.
Nice. And last but not least, Jazmyn, she's here and she's representing for Roc Nation's reform initiative. And she's also a personality too. My bad. Jazmyn, how you doing?
It's all right. It's an honor to be here with the mayor, with Esso, who is killing the game for real, and with you. Congratulations on your run. We need more social justice advocates. So congratulations on that. And thank you so much for having me, Chuck.
Yeah, no doubt. So, let's just hop right into it. You know, we have a live audience going on all platforms, and just wanted to get from each of you your thoughts on, you know, where hip hop started with all this political talk, all this community activism that used to be real popular and real prevalent in the culture, but we might not see that so much anymore. And maybe it is still there. Maybe we just don't see it so much. I'll start with you, Jazmyn. Ladies first.
Oh, well, thank you so much. Well, you know, I would just say Black music in general, that's been the thread of the fabric of our movement and resistance to racism and oppression since the slave times. Like Harriet Tubman used, you know, call and response and gospel to fire people up and get them to run. Civil rights movement, when we were fighting for civil rights, it was like, yo, I know I'm fighting for my civil rights. I'm like a tree standing by the water. I shall not be moved. And during the Black Panther Party days, even Run DMC did something about be proud to be Black. Of course, we had The Last Poets, which in many ways is the antecedent to hip hop. And we see that as it carried on with Public Enemy and just amazing kinds of very awoke, dope bars and pen games that I think fired us up and created the kind of movement in our soul that made us want to continue to fight for our rights and fight against, you know, the reality of oppression and racism. Black Lives Matter, right? We had Lil Baby talking about, you know, too many mothers be grieving, you know, they're killing us for no reason. Juicy J had a joint out. Even her talked about, I can't breathe. they're taking my life, who will fight for me. So I think that, and hip hop, particularly old school hip hop, and Maino, you know all about this. I mean, even just the coming together of Lobby Boys was a major statement to our community of healing and unity, and all Black men can be kings as a message. You know, particularly back in the day, there was a consciousness about our hip hop that fueled political activism. It's a little less so now, but it's still out there. I mean, you know, you got K-Dot, you got J. Cole, you know, you got Lil Baby, you got so many rappers who are singing about, you know, and whose bars and pen game are dope and are about fighting back for us as a people.
Okay, definitely. Maino, you the mayor.
Yep.
So tell us a little bit about what got you into being more community active, or was it always there?
So you don't want me to talk about the other thing though, right? So you want me to
No,
directly
you
talk about
can't.
that?
Yeah, what
Well,
impacted
I
you?
think
And
first,
what impacted
first,
you? Yeah.
first and foremost, I feel like you know, you still have music that kind of reflects what's going on. It's just not as prominent as it used to be.
Mm-hmm.
I think that the dynamic of society changed a little bit. The streets changed a little bit, and we still have those artists, but it's just not as you know, it's not on the forefront like it used to be. As far as me, what got me to start feeling like I needed to kind of like have a little bit more responsibility was, I mean, the thing with me is that I always felt that way. Um, I was always, you know, a hustler by mentality, feeling like music was a way out, and I always felt like, you know, it made no sense to try to get all the way in this game and then squander off all my opportunities just because I wanted to appeal or look tougher than what I was or look realer than what I was. It always bothered me to see artists who never really was in the street become artists and then go to prison or
Right.
then die. So,
Right.
you know, I just felt like just as much as, you know, artists say, oh, I'm not a role model, you know, I think that we do have a responsibility, you know, to our community to kind of be what I would say realistic with them. You know, I never looked at
Mm-hmm.
myself as being ultra positive, but I'm realistic. You know what I mean? I'm gonna tell a story the way it really is, and in both angles of it, both sides of it, and try to do as much as I can at the same time, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's awesome. I think also it inspired us, you know, in regards to, because so many of us, you know, our generation, you know, it kind of kept us out of trouble in a sense, you know, in regards to music, you know, and even like after school programs, you know, they don't really have too many of those as well. So I think, you know, music in general, you know, me, you know, I wasn't a rapper or anything, but you know, you couldn't wait to get home to, you know, to listen to it. You know what I mean? And I think,
Mm-hmm.
you know, in regards to politics per se, you know, it actually, you know, hip hop actually is kind of like it developed into a culture, you know, and it's more so it's like it's celebrated everywhere. You know what I mean? And like she was saying, you know, from our ancestors, you know, and I think, you know,
Mm-hmm.
that's ultimately what our goal is, you know, in regards to, you know, having us unified. And that's ultimately what did unify us, you know?
Right. Esso, what are your thoughts on sort of the current state of affairs as far as musicians, rappers being active in politics and community, which are two very different things, by the way.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I see them more involved in community more than in politics. One,
Mm-hmm.
I feel like we don't even know who the political people are that's in our favor. I think Black people, we only vote for who the president is going to be. We don't realize that we have to vote for the local elections and really get in tune with the people. But the people that are running, I don't feel like that they're taking time to get in tune with the young kids because we don't have a unified voice. Now
Mm-hmm.
with music being able to be put out through whoever you can get it out through your phone, through your computer, whatever, it tends not to have the same substance to it. Plus, with the social media factor, it's an attention span thing. So they used to
Mm-hmm.
do a study and say, well, you have to come across somebody 7 times for them to take notice of what you got going on.
Mm-hmm.
Now it's 21 or even 28 times,
Mm-hmm.
which is a big factor now. You know what I'm saying? So now it's harder to promote yourself. It's harder to get the truth out. It's harder for them to even listen to what you got to say. So it's damaging us in the long run. Do I think that the kids or the younger rappers, let me not say kids, I'm sorry. Do I think that the younger rappers are even taking notice to what we got going on? I'm going to be real. I don't think so. But I wouldn't either. It's a bunch of their frontal lobes that's not developing. I think that we're asking a lot from rappers to be the leaders and the pillars of the society when a lot of them are just trying to learn themselves. And they are not equipped with the information to pass on to us through music to rev us up like you had with Chuck D and all the rest of them.
Yeah. I think it's also important to notice that a lot of the people who we idolize from those days, you know, they came up under other people like Mr. Farrakhan. They came up under Kwame Ture, the Nation of Islam. We had organizations, the Nation of 5% Nation and others that guided those rappers into that consciousness. You know what I'm saying? So they didn't just pop up like that. They didn't just start that way. And also they were educated by Dr. King, Malcolm X, Kwame Ture, and a bunch of other people who sacrificed a lot for us to get there, to get to where we were at that point and now where we are now. I just wanted to ask y'all a little bit more about today, right? So we're looking at a really serious election that we're, you know, the presidential election is serious, but so are a lot of other places at stake, even down to say like abortion, for example, which is now on a state level. It's not a federally mandated thing anymore. What's talk about the value.
Yeah,
of
I just
voting.
wanted to touch on something really quickly. You know, speaking of the election. So just want to clarify a few things, right? So a lot of people I know, a lot of them are voting for Donald Trump, right? And a couple of things, a lot of them are talking about, you know, he actually gave us our stimulus money. You know, he did this for PPP. Truth be told, I was working for Congress. I've been working for them for 5 years, right? So I was working for Congresswoman Clark. And one of the things that I recall is that when we were stuck at home, you know, they were trying to get us $2,400 per month, right? And so Trump is the one that said no, like, and the Republicans said no, you know, and to the point of people were thinking and they were fooled, similar to, you know, he's an entertainer, right? So he basically provided his name in these checks, like saying, thank you, you know, thank the president. It was more of a branding thing. You know, we know from working in the music industry, that's what it's about. So a lot of people don't really realize how serious this election is. Like, you know, they talk about Biden and his health or whatever, but let's be real here. You know, if we were black, we're black, right? You had 34 felonies. Do you honestly think you will be able to run for president, let alone get an apartment? You know, it's just, you know, the fact of the matter is that he should not be allowed to run for president because of the simple fact, you know, I knew people that had financial aid, they got their financial aid taken because they had marijuana, you know? So I think the importance of that, in addition to Project 2025, you know, I know people are talking about this, but this is real. Like, you know, Social Security, like our parents are on Social Security, you know, there's a variation of other healthcare, education, like he's gutting all of that. And he means that. You know, so I think that's something that people really need to pay attention to. And Esso spoke about the local elections, you know, like all this time, like these people are strategists, you know, and it's like our community, we don't really talk about it because we don't really pay attention to it. But think about all these judges, like I'm talking about on a local level, that they had elections and they were putting them in place to set up this exactly what we're experiencing now. So it's very important for us as individuals to do our research and to understand exactly, you know, what's going on.
May I ask a question real quick? May I ask a quick question to her?
Sure.
What were our parents and everybody doing before? Because they knew who to vote for, but they weren't doing research. So what's the difference between them and now that they knew who the people were? They knew who they wanted to go vote for. They didn't have social media. They didn't have cell phone. They didn't have none of this. And we have all this Google stuff, and we're not in touch with what's going on.
So the thing is, though, and realistically, prior to social media or anything, they had communication. Like, you know how, like back in the 70s and 80s in Harlem, in the Bronx, it was a family-oriented environment. So everyone pretty much talked. You know, you would go to your grandmother's house on Sunday for dinner, and everyone would talk, and they would have a dialogue. Now that doesn't happen, you know. And I think also we were also fighting. We were post the civil rights movement that unified the Black community. It wasn't until the war on drugs that divided our communities and put us at odds, you know. And I think we need to go back to that for sure.
And then like Chuck, like you were saying, we had, first I need to clarify something. I'm not representing Roc Nation Reform Alliance. I work with them. I work with the Reform Alliance. I'm also on the air at iHeart, and then I do entertainment reporting for Radio 1 nationally. But with Reform Alliance, I do work with them. I'm a consultant with them. But my opinions are definitely my own, because they are a nonpartisan organization. They're a 501c3, which basically means, you know, they can't really be talking about who to vote for and why, and I can. So I just need to make that clear. But Reform Alliance is a very dope organization. It was started by Meek Mill and Jay-Z. Michael Rubin is on the board. Robert Kraft is on the board. It fights for reforming probation and parole. As we all know, like with Meek, you know, the first case he caught, he was going to be on probation for life. And then, of course, they had to throw it out because they found out that the police officer, the one witness in the case, not only had been convicted of lying, but also theft. But, you know, Meek came out of that. And that's a great example of someone in the hip hop community making a huge difference. They have passed laws in over 16 states successfully that have reformed parole and probation. But I was going to say, in terms of the election, it is a little scary to me that we have so many hip hop artists and African Americans and just folks that I meet, particularly from the street, that'll be like, yo, I'm down with Trump. And I'm like, have you checked out what Trump stands? I mean, Trump is a master con artist. I get it. But usually we're pretty good about not being conned, you know? So, and shout out to Taraji for talking about Project 2025. I think what people don't understand is that when you vote for a president, it is a strategic move. Ideally, you have a movement or something going on, and you vote for the party that you can push the hardest to do what you want to do, right? You don't vote for someone and be like, okay, now I voted for them, now I'm gonna just go chill and they can do whatever they want. We have to vote for and then fight for the things that we need as a people and what we want. And Maino, I think, was saying the downstate races are critical, particularly with the appointment of these judges. Look what the Supreme Court just did. They basically basically they, as we know, a Project 2025 is a continuation.
Well, wait, someone educate. I know about it, but I would like for one of you. I don't want to just talk, but what happened with the judges in the Supreme Court? Explain that.
I was going to share that. So what the Supreme Court did was basically, and Judge Sotomayor really broke it down. My girl got bars because she spit the dissent in a way that was so beautiful. Basically what they said is that if you do anything that is an official act, rob, cheat, steal, kill, you are immune from any kind of prosecution, right? If it's an unofficial act, then you're subject to law. So as I'm quoting Sotomayor, she said, assassinate your opponents. I don't like that hip hop song that Maino did. Take him out, right? Immune.
So I
take a bribe. Take a bribe. Immune.
It's like Putin.
And he would be in, and the Supreme Court said that he would be in control of the FBI, of trade, of the Justice Department. So basically, the Republicans already are the biggest gangster here in the United States of America. But what the Supreme Court did was make them I mean, it makes the mafia look like nothing, right? I don't want to say
Jazz, it's
like
their country, Jazz. It's the white man's country.
No, baby. No, baby. No, baby. No. Let me tell you.
Listen. I'm speaking like Maino said. I'm speaking from reality here.
Nah,
okay?
you're not.
If it wasn't let's be real. If it wasn't the white man's country, Jazz, let me say this, Jazz. Weakness is not reality. Okay, pretending is. All right. If it wasn't the white man's country, Trump wouldn't be doing this. This wouldn't be possible. This is what we're not understanding, regardless of who.
I mean,
hold on.
I'm an ogre.
Wait. Hold on.
I've been around a long time, so I've been in a lot of movements. Right, I used to be in the Black Panthers because I'm an OG. The reason why Trump won is because we didn't vote, boo. Do you know how many millions of people sat home? Because and Ron Dellums, who was a Black congressman from back in the day, who fought revolutionary Black congressman, and he said it's like we sit on, because the money that they have is our money. It's our tax dollars. Black folks disproportionately pay more taxes than anybody else in this country.
Yeah, because we're not paying them to the government.
We let them. Are we really going to let them take those taxes and use it for whatever they want to massacre millions of children in Palestine, or do it not help the homeless, not help our people? What?
May I just say one fact, Jazz? We don't pay taxes to the government. We pay taxes to the 7 families. The government doesn't even see it. We're giving it to the 7 families, babe. And the 7 families, and the 7 to 11 families.
Hold on. Can I just say something? Okay, because I did work in a congressional office, and we had a lot of people, that's part of the federal government, which is the IRS. So they are, I don't know in regards to that backstory, you know what I mean, in regards to the 7 families, but the reality is we are paying taxes. But I also wanted to address one other thing. You guys remember Samuel Jackson's character, Django? Because that's ultimately what these people that are voting for Trump, that's ultimately who they are. And I think, in regards to it, we're being hoodwinked. You know what I mean? And I think the main thing is also in regards to these people, and he knows, like, creating sneakers, like, come on, like, who does that? You know what I mean? And having all these rappers come out to say, like, I love Waka, but I don't understand what's going on with him. Like, for real. I love you, Waka, but I just don't understand, like, reality. And they
I'm going to tell you, it's
Trump
marketing,
they're saying it's taxes. They're saying it's taxes. But the reality is, most of the Black people, you know what I mean? I'm just keeping it 100 here. We don't have we're not in that tax bracket. The rappers and the artists and other people are, and celebrities, but they're hurting our people, and that's me. I'm a voice for the voiceless. And
explain to me. But hold on a sec. Somebody explain to me how they're hurting the people, because when you say that, you gotta give us some.
Okay, I can tell you how they're hurting the people.
So they're hurting economically. Because the thing about it is, when they don't have insurance companies, these insurance companies, like Obama, I praise him. You know what I mean? Not that's praising him like a god, but more so with health insurance. The reality is, how many people, especially Black and brown people, never had health insurance until he created Obamacare. And it was so good that Trump was trying to get rid of it. But the other side, especially the good old boys, were realizing that, we definitely need health insurance. So he's not going to get rid of it. But the hurting part is financially. Income, jobs, the tax, no one can make it on $15 an hour, and they're increasing rents. And these taxes, they're going to definitely look out for the wealthy and not for our community people.
And when she says the wealthy, she's not just talking about being hood rich. She's talking about the wealthy. The people who benefited from the Trump tax cut are people like Bezos, who made $12 billion and paid 0 taxes.
Right.
How many people do you know that had to, unless they were doing something under the table, paid 0 taxes? Because Trump changed the tax code. Trump and the Republicans, the gangsters, they changed the tax code so the money came from the poor, the working class, and the middle class, and was transferred to the very wealthy, not just the wealthy. I'm not talking about people making $5-10 million a year. I'm talking about the very wealthy. That's what will continue to be done. If Project 2025 goes in place, which is Trump will bring in, they'll be able to do that basically within the blink of the eye. How else has he hurt us? The law that was passed after the Black Lives Movement matter to hold police accountable so that you could sue individual police and not just, because right now you kill a nigga, excuse my language, you're basically given a free vacation because you put on administrative leave with pay. So the law that would have changed that and other reforms that were really important was vetoed by who? By the Republicans.
Right.
Free health care, which we still do not have. Every other country in the world has free health care. We don't
Right.
have it. Why? The Republicans. Why don't we have free education, college? Why? The Republicans. We better wake up. We better wake up, because those artists that are coming out, Waka, I love you to life. I love your mom, but who are coming out and supporting Trump, they don't make enough money to really benefit from Trump.
Right.
They think they do, but they really don't. Trump's agenda is not for us. And I wanted to just finish what Delms was saying, because he was saying that it's like we created this business, the government, we fund it, but then we sit back and let them, the white people, the 7 families, the corporations, run it, take the taxes, and do whatever they want. One last point I want to make, and we could change that, and we have changed that in different times in history, but we have to be active, we have to get out and vote, and we have to fight back. The last thing I would just say, very interesting thing, I did a story about, remember when they were talking about how Putin and the Russians were interfering in our elections? One of the main targets was to get Black people to stay home. Mm-hmm. And they would get Black people to stay home by saying, Republicans and Democrats, they're just the same. It's the white man's country. You really don't even have a voice, so why go out and vote? They don't care about you. Don't vote. Instead of understanding that if we raise our voice and raise our power in a united front, we can make them do what we want them to do, and we have in the past.
Can I say something real quick before you weigh in? I just want to say it's good to hear y'all talk, all of y'all, really, actually, because we see each other on social media, or in an event or whatever. It's a little quick second, but you actually don't get to hear this type of dialogue or this type of conversation.
Right.
So I just want to say we really actually need to do this more often, so we can exchange ideas, educate each other even, and so on and so forth. So go ahead, Esso, my bad.
So I just want to think too, I think, go ahead, Esso. Go ahead. You're going to say something?
The first thing that I was going to say was answering her about the election, saying how Trump won the first time. Hillary Clinton had the majority vote. He won through the electoral college, right? That's the first thing. So she won the majority vote. That's why Black people are frustrated with voting, because a lot of the process is not known. So once we saw her win the majority vote, now we're like, what does the electoral? How do you win the majority vote and not get the votes? Let me just say this, and not get the vote from the college, right? The other thing that you're dealing with the rappers, it goes back to music. The music business is a big deal because it teaches you so much about other businesses. Every business around this country in this world is intertwined to the music business because they use us to promote things, right? Now, the number one way that they promote us is they force feed it through you through marketing. Marketing. These are the same things that these same rappers are falling to. They're falling to their own medicine. They're taught this. So when you see Waka Flocka going out there, Waka Flocka is looking at, Donald Trump is a marketing genius. Put the name on the check. By the time these dumb people find out that he didn't really give you the check, it's too late, right?
Right.
So he goes around. Right. What do Black people want? They like sneakers. See, I'm not mad at you. Know who I'm mad at? I'm not mad at Trump. I'm mad at my own people, because it's like they go get the gold sneakers. What are we talking about? You're buying them because they're a collector's item. You're sending the wrong message. But then we're looking to people who frontal lobe is not developed, or part of my French, they're street niggas. So you got street niggas guiding people. So when you have a nigga like me, a dude like me who has 2 degrees, and I'm telling them what's up, they're gonna listen to Jay-Z, not even Jay-Z's word, his music, his stories. That's what they're paying attention to. They're paying attention to the marketing. I don't think that the music right now, this is my last point, I don't think Sexy Red is no worse than Little Kim. I don't think the gang banging is no worse than what everybody was killing on wax back when we was younger. But the only thing, we had other people to offset it. You had the Chuck D's, you had the positive people to offset what these other guys was doing. You had that. You don't have that right now. And that's the biggest gap. We don't have no yin and yang. We got people, and this is the bad part about Black people. This is what we do. if we don't agree, and I've been saying this, it's an argument. If you don't agree, you're fucking stupid, you're stupid, you're stupid, instead of understanding and taking time to think and hear why they're making this dumb decision. So you can now come back and give them facts upon why they shouldn't make the decision, because I know they didn't do the research. Go ahead.
So I wanted to just touch on something that you said in regards to electoral votes, right? So those people are elected in positions, right? So, and the thing is that we need to educate our community, especially the younger ones with their frontal lobes, as you were mentioning, but educate them on the process, and that's the best thing about it, and Trump is an entertainer, right? You know what I mean? And healthcare is a human right, as well, that we know, right? And I think the main thing, like dialogues like this need to happen more often, but they need to happen, in various places and talking to just different people. You know what I mean? Like, just having various conversation with some of the artists that I know and used to work with, and Chuck was mentioning Farrakhan. I was Ja Rule's manager's assistant, right? And so when Ja Rule was out, him and 50 Cent were having the beef. Farrakhan called them both to Chicago, and he met and sat down with them to eliminate that. And see, Farrakhan is, he's almost 90, I believe, but we need to have younger individuals coming up, you know what I mean, and talking to these people, you know what I mean, and the youth. You know what I mean? Like Maino is he trains his whole life around, you know what I mean? And he's more of an opportunity for people to see what you can do. And it's various other artists, that are the same. But
so we need to feed. I'm sorry.
Let's bring the mayor back. Where's Maino? Bring Maino back.
Because we don't feed people like that. For some reason we leave them hanging, and we don't give them, we don't support them financially. Like, it costs to come out here and come and change lives. So if Maino's going out there and it's always nothing, it's nothing, no financial thing from him, he's taken away from his time. People will not donate to him, but they'll donate to anybody putting up anything for a film project. That's a problem. You know what I'm saying? We need these people. Like, when you have Martin Luther King, and I'm not trying to compare Maino to Martin Luther King, but I'm just saying they ran on donations. People gave money to keep the movement going. They just leave people out here. You're a rapper. You got money. Do what you need to do. That's not always going to work for these kids, and they're young, and some of these men are older, and they're providing for children themselves. It takes a lot to keep this stuff going. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Maino.
Yeah, Maino. You there, Maino? Oh, no. He's gone. Give him a second. Hey, what are we doing?
What's happening?
What you
doing?
Was the question? You squashing a beef? What you doing?
Nah. Sometimes you gotta let some shit happen though.
Right.
It's the natural progression of things. Everything.
Speak on that.
Sometimes the show gotta go on. You understand? It's the
what
jungle.
You mean by that?
It's the jungle. I mean, it's a natural progression of things. Sometimes things are to the point where we can't. They unsquashable. Sometimes.
Well, how does that relate to where we are right now?
Well, I don't know if that actually relates to what we're talking about now, though. I only said that because you said that. And what was I squashing something? And I'm just basically saying sometimes that don't. Just in general.
Well, we have a situation here in the country, right? First of all, they say in about where are we at right now? Like 30 years, Black folks' collective wealth will be zero, right? Zero. I forget exactly what the contrast between white homes and Black homes is, but basically white folks make dumb more money than we do, straight up. So I guess what I'm trying to get at is we have a problem as a people. Now, I don't know how you slice that up, but Black people in general have an issue. I'm looking at Maino because Maino is, like, to me, has evolved into someone who we can trust a little bit. We can you know what I mean? We can call him to translate for us. You sit with the mayor a little bit, sit with Jim Jones a little bit. You know what I mean?
New Maino.
So I'm asking you, Maino, what in your opinion, I don't know if you want to take a hard position on the election. That's so if you don't, that's fine. But I will say this, it's pretty clear to me that one part of this election process is going to be really bad for Black folks. And
Yes.
the other side, we can debate about that. You know what I mean? That's debatable to me.
The thing about the elections is that I feel like we don't put enough emphasis on the local elections.
Okay.
You understand? I'm sorry about the noise in the back. Like the Congress, the Senate, like we need to be more involved in that area with what's going on locally around us.
Mm-hmm. But you still rapped. You rapped about. You all right?
You gotta speak it out. I'm all right.
Oh
I'm
man,
all right.
a little hectic there. You sure? You good? All right, man. We don't want nothing to happen on live or nothing.
Yeah, right.
You know what
If
I'm
it
saying?
does, well, we got the receipts if it
Yeah,
does.
exactly.
Yeah. But Maino, you did rap about living to see a Black president and that being a blessing. Doesn't it matter though?
I mean, it mattered. It was good for our self-esteem. It was good for inspiration to see that. My son got a chance to see that. I think for young Black boys coming out of the ghetto, I think that it was good to see that at that time.
Mm-hmm.
And I liked some of the things that he had done. I don't think he had enough time to get for really change to happen. But
Yeah.
that's the thing. But for us to live to see that, I think that was very powerful in itself.
Yeah, I think, I would agree with you, man. I think also, being Congress, people being involved, a lot of people don't know. And sadly, even with the special election is during the summer, but most people really don't only come out to vote during the presidential election. But, Congress, there's an election every 2 years for Congress, right? You have mayors, the mayors are 4 years, the federal senators are every 6 years. So the main thing is educating our community about, and that's what I do, educate people, in regards to what their rights are, as well as voting. We had ancestors that died, for us to vote, and we're taking it for granted, and the reality, Harriet Tubman, I live downtown Newark, and there's a park, and they did a statue of her, and some of her stories, and the reality is, she created was the Underground Railroad, and the main thing is people like her, people like Martin Luther King, but we need we need people from our generation to step up. And that's why I'm running for Congress too, is that to be a voice for the voiceless. Because the thing is that you only know as much as you've been told or taught, and I think the main thing, like I mentioned, like this dialogue is excellent, because of the simple fact that you have various perspectives from various different people from all walks of life.
I have a question for you. I want to ask you. You have recently brought together a lot of people from hip hop,
right?
The people on this conversation, but also people like Wild from Rough Riders and other folks into the mix. What made you take that approach for this run? What made you do that rather than?
I'm sorry. You said what? What? I'm sorry. I didn't hear you.
What made you take? Yeah.
So, well, I went to, so I started out at Temple. I went to Temple University, and Kenny Gamble was one of my mentors. And he had, I remember he was telling me.
You got speak on Kenny. Speak on Kenny Gamble and who he is. No, it's all good.
So Kenny Gamble basically, he basically was educating me on a lot of stuff. And one thing he said was June, he created Black Music Month. Because although my major was anthropology, I was kind of into politics because of my uncle that was there. And he was saying that, he lobbied Jimmy Carter to make June Black Music Month. And so a lot of the time, because I worked in the music industry and knew a lot of people, we would see a lot of them, VMAs, MTV Awards, and a lot of people never really was getting, their just due. And so I came together with a couple friends and started initially we started, it was Power and Music, but then I changed the name this year, but it's Music and Power. And the thing is that we want to give people their flowers, you know, while they're alive. And the thing is that a lot of these people inspired us, you know, like Wah from Rough Riders, you know what I mean? He was a black man, you know, he basically started a business and basically it was a movement, you know what I mean? As well as, you know, the FUBU. Like I just had an interview with Keith, and he was just, you know, just telling them that it was an inspiration, you know what I mean, for us. Even you, Chuck, you know, starting AllHipHop. I knew you when I worked at the Source, you know, and thing is that it's inspiring. And so for us, you know, we need to have our own, you know, award show, you know what I mean? Because there's a lot of executives that have worked in the music industry. You know, no shade on any, you know, body that's gotten an award from these places, but it was hard for me to believe that Rakim and Big Daddy Kane never received any type of award ever. Yeah. No MTV award, nothing. You know what I mean? So it just gave us joy, you know, in regards to see their souls, you know, just more so just being so excited, you know, to be honored. And then I put a twist in it because, you know, I am from the music industry, but I also went to, you know, to politics. So providing some type of proclamation, you know, from that state or that city to honor them, you know, in regards to, because that's in the history books, you know what I mean?
Where is Maino? Maino is wild.
He's 100% wilding right now.
I'm in the airport.
But you know, we owe it to, you know, we owe it to them. You know, they provided us, you know, Chuck, you wouldn't be where you were. Maino wouldn't be where he was. You know what I mean? Esso wouldn't be, and neither Jazmyn either, if it wasn't for these people that kind of laid the groundwork, similar to Harriet Tubman, you know what I mean? And all these people that died, you know, John Lewis, you know what I mean? Like so many of them that have provided, you know, us a pathway for us. You know what I mean? And we got to take advantage of that.
There was just one thing I wanted to comment on, if it's okay, Chuck. Maino, Esso, y'all was spitting truth. You were spitting truth, and I love it. Maino is so right that we've got to look at those local elections. That's where power begins. That's what the Republicans have done and how they've reversed a lot of policies that are really important to us. Things and things that Trump supports that people don't understand. Using hip hop lyrics to convict people of crimes. That is a crime in itself. Trump supports using hip hop. Why? Because he's close with the owners of private prison companies, and private prison companies like CAA, they make their money off of Black folks being in prison, young Black men especially. And so they support laws like 3 strikes and you're out, mandatory minimums, things that Obama did successfully in some of his work, was able to at least reverse in terms of the federal government. And so I think it's just, we've got to get this out there, because when hip hop artists are saying, yeah, you know, MAGA, I'm for Trump, they don't realize, like, yo, this is a man who's going to put in place judges who are going to lock you up and your children and your sons and your daughters, right?
But it also started.
I just want to say one last, if it's okay.
I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. I just want one last thing and then I'll shut up. But I just want to say, Esso, you are so right. I mean, that is such truth about the marketing. And that is why I think that, you know, the corporate control over a lot of hip hop, you know, if you're not releasing it independently, has dramatically changed the hip hop content. I know some youngins who had mad talent, and they were almost about ready to get signed. They actually did get signed, but they were told straight up, those lyrics, no, when they were talking about things that would uplift us, inspire us, and get us to fight back. And then, yes, those lyrics about, you know, trapping, you know, effing, like those are the lyrics that they told them sell. But the bottom line is, it's also the lyrics that help shape the culture of our young people. So like when you were talking about that marketing, the fact that the corporations, the big corporations, whose interests are aligned with Trump and others like that, they have control over our voice. And so they're marketing a message now. They're marketing a message now that hurts us.
And I think also bringing it back to the fact that, you know, when with these judges, right? And, you know, it started with Nixon, right? In regards to implementing this war on drugs, right?
Black people.
Yes.
War on Black people. It was war on Black people for the private prisons.
Right. And talking about how, and how crazy is it now that, you know, it's legal for cannabis, but most of these businesses are failing, because of the simple fact that they have taxes. They have to be taxed by the city, the state, and the federal government. And the thing is, it's not set up for us. So they're initially saying that they're legalizing cannabis, because of the effects on the war on drugs. But the reality is they're still benefiting, for this, and a lot of them, like in New York State, they filed a lawsuit because some of these businesses couldn't, they couldn't get their dispensary license until after this, Black and brown people, were moving forward. But the thing is that that's why I'm running for Congress, right? Because I've helped cannabis companies in New Jersey, you know what I mean? And in New York, you know what I mean? To try to get their licenses because of the simple fact that they're trying to put roadblocks up. I think it doesn't make sense for them to have to get an expungement, you know what I mean? In order to get a license. That doesn't make any sense at all. You know what I mean? And those are some of the bills that I'm going to, introduce, in the federal government, because it's like they're setting us for roadblock after roadblock after roadblock, and it's unfortunate, but the reality is once I'm elected, I'm going to make a change for sure.
I have a question.
Let's
So
do it.
we did a lot of talk about identifying what the issues are. What are some of the solutions though? Because we can sit here all day and talk about what the problems are like, but what are some of the methods that we already identified, reaching out and being more involved with local government. But what are some of the other things that we need to do or we all can do? Because, I honestly feel, and I'm speaking for myself, I honestly feel like I haven't done enough. You understand? Like, I feel like I haven't been involved enough. I see a lot more people. I see a plethora of artists that do way more in their community than I do. And I'm just being 100% realistic with y'all. So what are some of the things that we can do, even for myself, that'll help? Oh, and I just want to take this time to just plug one thing. I'm having my first annual Maino Day, August 16th, my mother's birthday, and I'm doing something for my sisterhood.
I'll be there.
They gave me a day, and everybody's invited. But what are some of the other things we could do?
So I think
okay.
And that is the question, Maino.
No,
that is the question.
Good question.
Well,
Great question.
I have a short answer. I say first things first. You're a respected person in the culture, in the city. I say focus on these kids. You know what I'm saying? Give someone an opportunity if you can, and if not, give them the game. And it's not really that deep. I think that if you pull someone aside, mentor them, you actually guide them in a way through action and word in a way that changes their life right off the rip. And they learn from watching you from there on. And that's what I've done in my life. I've really literally focused almost all my energy on kids, young people, educating them, showing them a different way, and also literally putting them in position to meet other, for me, Black men who can also guide them in other areas in life. And then politics doesn't become as crazy of a conversation because you've already shown them how this directly impacts their lives and they respect your word. I think that's where we screw it up a lot. Social media is such a mess that you listening to somebody who's already been miseducated by somebody who's already been miseducated, and et cetera, et cetera. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
So also, Maino, I think, in regards to, it's more of teaming up with a few people. Like, one thing also, like I started a company, it's called March for Equity, right? And I started it because my boss went viral in January of 2022. And he went viral because the state of New Jersey issued 56 licenses and nobody was Black, and so that intrigued me to try to, get people involved, even to the point of Jaden's Law, getting Jaden's Law passed in New Jersey because of the simple fact of seeing the lack of people. And Maino, you participated in various toy giveaways and stuff that, and you too, Chuck, and stuff that I've done. But I think also for us, and we don't hear enough about this, is that super PACs, right? And a super PAC more so is something that, white people know all about, you know what I mean? And it's more of, in regards to these local elections, as well as, state and federal, you can pick and identify judges and and so forth. So it's more of getting together with a group of people, and forming something, or even joining or partnering up with a group of people. And Maino, I could talk to you about it offline, in regards to it. But the main thing is working together, like the people that did before. And like for me running for Congress, I'm actually going to be a voice for the voiceless. You know what I mean? Right now it's it's the 10th district of New Jersey. But the thing is that they had so many. Obama had something, it was called My Brother's Keeper, right? And that's, you don't hear anything too much about that, anymore. Or even My Sister's Keeper, or My People's Keeper, you know what I mean? So I think part of that, it's important for us to come together, you know what I mean? Like, and talk to these kids, you know what I mean? And more so opening their eyes. Music, as I mentioned, was kind of like our, encouragement. You know what I mean? Like working together gave you the ability to voice your concerns, or, whatever, fight the power was one of the main, things, and with Public Enemy, KRS-One, these people were inspirational, for us. So I think working together, and coming up with some type of plan, you know what I mean? As well as, programs and events, and so forth. So me, as a congressional person, there's so much money out there to start this. Maino, if you wanted to start a not-for-profit, they have funds for that, so.
Can I make a quick statement? Can I make a quick statement? And this will be the last thing I'll say. This is the one thing that bothers me about how our Black people move. If we don't get into spending money on marketing, we're not going to outmarket the white man. No matter what we say, we always talking about coming.
I don't agree with you on that.
Let me say this. I would expect you not to agree with me. All right? Okay. You know what I'm saying? So I'm not here to be agreed with, but I've been a Black kid. I'm from South Jamaica, Queens. I'm from the ghetto. All right? So in order to get to the kids that's in the ghetto, there's no marketing. We're all trying to be kumbaya in the hood. Or while these other people, not others, not just white, it's Russian, it's Italian, it's Chinese. They're taking money for their initiatives and they're putting their money to it. They're marketing everything that they want, the good stuff and the bad stuff. Our Black people, we don't believe in marketing. And until we believe in marketing and spending money for the initiative that we're talking about, instead of saying, let me reach out to a rapper and an influencer and try to get around it and do it the cheap way, we're always going to be behind. We're not going to outmarket.
I mean, I think I get what I don't disagree with that, right? Because if you look at the evidence, it really shows. But I think that what it is that there's a lack of access to funds and funding for people of color. Basically, you don't have access to the same marketing dollars to make good on that type of marketing. It's just like hip hop. The conscious artist or the artist who's spitting whatever you call real does not get the $1 billion fund Sexy Red got. Sexy Red has access to a $1 billion fund, including time with Drake or whatever, however that relationship works out. And that's all marketing without question. So it is a tough, it's not easy. There are no easy solutions.
So, but I just want to, because also I'm a publicist, right? So even in the backstory, like, remember, like back when we were young, Puffy had Harlem, locked down in regards to marketing. You know what I mean? So that's what I'm saying. Like, Black people know how to do it. It's just point of, they don't do it. We're all older. You know what I mean? And so street teams, you know what I mean? Like, that was kind of like what our marketing was. And I think more so evolving it to something, where we can talk to these individuals. Like Esso, I definitely want to collaborate with you on some stuff for sure. Because I think the main thing is getting these people aware, you know what I mean? And branding them. Like, conversations like this is needed often, you know what I mean? To have people and to voice their opinions, as well. But I think marketing is in our blood, you know what I mean? Especially when you're in the music industry. It's just something that's innate in you. You know what I mean? It's just more of teaching other people how to do it.
And they don't grasp it. That's the That's the challenge of our people, that they instead of marketing and promoting, they rather go buy a belt and look fly and take a picture. That's what they rather do. That's their marketing. That's their marketing. Yo, I'm gonna look fly. You know what I'm saying? But you can invest money, and I tell people this. I did this in podcasting. Everything I did in podcasting, I did what I learned from 25 years of being in the music business, a manager, A&R, everything. But outside of our business, this is the chore. Outside of our business, the people that have the same color that we have, they don't understand marketing. When I tell them, I say, when y'all get mad at Trump and y'all say fuck Trump, fuck Trump, fuck Trump, you're marketing him for the people that like him. Right? That you're saying his name, you're building him up. He doesn't care if it's good or bad publicity. He just wants the publicity. And we're helping to give it to him. When my father is 82 years old and he's watching CNN talking about Trump, I say, you're giving Trump ratings. That's why they're running. That's why they keep playing it. He's getting ratings for the people that like him and for the people that can't stand him. So they're going to keep running it. And we know if marketing and promotion is a pure thing, get it out to as many people as possible. You might get 5 or 10% of those people. So you got to get this out to 8 billion people to get the return you want. The only black man that I see grasp that was when Obama did the email marketing. He was the first one to do that. We're getting stuff to my box saying, Randall Parker, that's my real name. We need you. So I'm looking like, how they know my name? I'm so Obama had everybody on that. Now every other politician has stole that now. Now you get it all the time. But that was innovative marketing when saying, okay, you might not have the money that this person has, but understanding the value of marketing your product was genius to me.
Say that. All right, guys, we approaching the hour mark. I want to get basically where y'all think we need to kind of move forward with this. We know the importance of voting. We know the importance of marketing. We might have to rethink that a little bit. We know we're gonna, if we can, vote for Shana, definitely.
Yes.
So
of course.
So give us some marching orders. Give us a clear and concise march, like a step. Like give somebody a step, because some of this can be overwhelming, right? Like we're all talking about saving the world. The universe is about to collapse if Trump gets elected. And what are we gonna do? Give us something simple that we can all say, "Oh, okay, let me do that."
You mean me?
Because each person.
Okay, yes. So again, I'm running for New Jersey 10th congressional district. You know, if you want to come out and help us, because I'm up against the machine, y'all. I'm up against the machine. So the main thing, and Esso, you said it the best. You know what I mean? The thing is I need people to help us, you know, knock on doors. You got family in Newark, New Jersey, Essex County, Union County, Jersey City. I need your help. You know, $5, $10, whatever you can do to help me. The thing is that I'm the voice of the voiceless, right? And so the main thing is come out, help us out. You know what I mean? Go to my website. It's meliusforcongress.com. You know, and I'm up against people that, you know, no shade to them, but they don't have federal experience. And like just engaging in this conversation, you know, is giving me a wealth of knowledge, you know, what works needs to be done in the community. So you can contact me on my website, meliusforcongress.com. Melius for Congress on Instagram, Melius 4 Congress on Twitter. You know, reach out to me and help me out, help a sister out. You know what I mean? And one other thing, I will be the first person from the hip hop industry in Congress. So that's like a deal. You know what I mean? So I just need as much support as possible.
Okay.
I think the one thing that I could do or anybody else is just open the conversation about voting. We don't really talk about it at all.
Yeah.
Like, we're not asking nobody, are you voting, especially a kid? Are you going to vote? We always asking people when it's time to vote. Why are we not asking it and just talking to people about, do you know the importance of voting?
Right.
Yo, if you don't, vote locally first, because this is how you're going to get money for your parks and for your people don't know that. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
while we're always trying to tell them on a grand scale, I'm gonna start telling them on the local scale. See what's up. You don't got to worry about all these other people. Find out who runs your neighborhood.
Right.
First.
And that's your district leader. But they got block captains. I know, people probably know they have block parties, whatever. It's one person that's in charge of that. And that person is responsible for going to the local government, which is your city council and your mayor's office. And, you got to kind of talk to these people and tell them what it is that you want. But the main thing is, so many people have died for us to have this privilege to vote. And the main thing is, and then in addition, we have corruption, as we know, Trump is one example of corruption, but we also have it in variation of other parties. You know what I mean? You want to vote somebody. That's the main thing about democracy. You can vote someone in. Someone's not appointed or assigned or trying to, strategically place someone there just so that they can be a puppet. So I think that's the main thing.
Okay. Mayor, is the mayor still there? The mayor, you still there? Maino, the mayor. All right, he's still there. All right. So
I'm still here, y'all. I'm still here.
All right. Okay. What can you advise? What would you say you could say to somebody to do?
What would I tell somebody to do?
Yeah.
First thing and foremost is to be informed as possible. Try to learn as much as you can about a little bit of everything. Try to, don't close your ears and your eyes off. Try to just be as informed as you can. That's the first part. And then, you see where you can involve yourself at. You know what I mean? As far as inspiration, that's my thing. Somebody said, I think it was you, Chuck, and, you talked about, mentoring and, picking, these young kids and giving them hope and inspiration. And that's what I'm all about, man. That motivation that they need to know that we don't got to finish the same way we started,
Okay. Jazmyn, what about you?
Yeah, and I Maino, you are such an inspiration. Really commend you. Spitting truth to the Black youth, and just the example of your life, I think, is so important. So that is one thing. I mean, we just one-on-one, each one teach one, be informed, and inform others. And the voting, helping people understand that, voting is power. Like, we're giving these people all this coin, our money out our pockets. Don't we want to have a say on how it's used? Don't we want to say whether it's going to be used to kill children in Palestine, or whether it's going to be used to give us healthcare and education and help the homeless and mothers and fathers who are struggling with poverty or maybe unemployed, make sure that they have a lifeline like they do in every other country except ours, because we give away so much. 80 million people did not vote in the last election. 80 million. And I used to also work with this brother named Reverend Barber. I don't know if anybody's heard of him, with the poor
I know the people's. Yeah, of course.
So he used to talk about, he still does, how we could take back the South. We could run this shit, y'all. We could run this shit. And I think turning us on to our own power and UNITY, understanding our own power if we are unified. So it's each one teach one. It's helping the youth. It's inspiring people. It's bringing us together, because we could be a mighty force if we ever wake up.
If you look at the hand, right? Look at the hand. All these little fingers by themselves get broken and can't do nothing too much. Maybe type on a phone, but if you put them together, then you got some power. You got some things going on. And I think that we have too much division within our own community. We fighting over the origins of hip hop. Meanwhile, them other folks are swooping in and bong, all right, got them. It's as simple as that. And we worried about African versus this area versus
first hip hop, African versus hip hop, exactly.
Right.
African versus hip hop, yeah, exactly.
Right. It's crazy, man. So I'm hoping, that's what I'm hoping for, and I'm hoping that if we can figure out how to work together and even on a small level, we can get some really serious things done. But
Yeah.
before we go, Shana, the word on the street, is you did a Not Like Us remix. Now, I don't know if I want to hear this because it makes me nervous, right? It makes me nervous.
No, but
But
it should make you.
I want to
did you
commend
used
you,
to rap?
Shana, also
You a
for
rapper?
running, by the way. I
You
just want to commend you for that
oh
level of
yeah.
engagement.
Thank
So
you.
For sure.
important. And it's so
Thank
beautiful
you.
to see a conscious Black queen who's committed to our people and social justice, raising her voice and running. So mad support for you, sis.
Thank you. Thank you. Oh, and I just want to tell you
Where
my ballot positions before you play this song. If you're in Essex County, I'm 1A. If you're in Hudson County, I'm 2B. And if you're in Union County, I'm 7G. But I want Esso, I want you and Maino to come over here to New Jersey and kind of canvas with me. You know, you want to get involved, Maino. I got something I
Just
need
give me
y'all
a
to do.
call.
All right,
Just give me
I'm
a
gonna
call. If
call you.
I'm in
Esso,
town,
I'm
you
gonna call
got me.
you.
You
I'm
got
gonna
me.
call you. I'm gonna call you.
Okay, let me know.
Bet.
Let me know.
okay. So wait a minute. I got a non-political question for y'all. You know, we saw what happened on the West Coast. I'm looking to see what can we get done. How can we see this on the East Coast in New York City? The unity and the power that Kendrick and the Pop Out showed us over on the West Coast. And I think
I
Maino's a
mean, I
perfect
mean, the
vessel.
dynamic. I know exactly where you're going with this, Chuck, and I respect it. The dynamic was set for that, and then you gotta understand, you know, the West Coast already feels like they got a point to prove. They
Yeah.
always felt like that. So having that beef go on, that was kind of like that was a layup for Kendrick. You know
Yeah.
what I
Yeah.
mean?
Mm,
Personally, I've been screaming. I've been screaming New York is unified for a few years now, man. You know, you didn't see me bring the drill rappers to the mayor. You didn't see,
yeah.
you know, me and Jim and Fab and East
Mm-hmm.
and all us click up and try to, like, you know, show people that, you know, that we all kings and we could all be individualized, but we can all support each other at the same time. It's not going to
Yeah.
take away. It's just gonna enhance. So I've been on
Okay. Oh,
that
What? Oh, one thing
table,
I
and the
definitely
timing
want to
was set
see.
for that, just based around the circumstances.
One thing I
Huh?
want to see, Maino, is I want to see, 50 Cent and Ja Rule. I think that
Never.
would be.
Oh,
Never.
see, not, no.
I'm
That
just
ain't
Never.
going.
saying.
Yeah, that's
hey.
One thing
yeah.
that
See you
I
right
want
now.
to
Never
You
see,
happening.
you know what I
now.
mean?
You,
And
come
Nah.
on.
I'm
Jay
just
and
Never
Nas
saying.
wasn't
happening.
good enough. Jay and Nas wasn't good enough. Now you already know that's
Right.
not gonna happen.
That ain't
It
happening.
might though. It might. You
Ever.
never know. You never know. You
I
never
know.
know.
I grew up with 50 Cent. I know. That's never happening.
And so you said, you know.
What
I
about
know.
the game? What about the game? 50 in the game.
Maybe.
Maybe
Yeah.
Maybe.
now we making progress. Now we
Love
making
me
Maybe.
some
progress.
50 though. Love me
But
some
I think,
50.
Yeah, no,
yeah, he's
50's
doing his
doing his
thing. He's
thing.
doing his thing.
Yeah, he's
He's doing
definitely
his
doing
thing.
his thing.
But
Shout out to
also
him.
one other thing, this
Uh-oh.
song and the reason why I we wrote it is that the fact is, they not like us. You know what I mean? And there's on this canvassy, you got to look it up. You know what I mean? There's 11 people on this. I just generally left
Mm-hmm.
working for the Congress, and I had to did a gangster move. I had to quit my job to run for this seat. Because I believed in it so much, and people that know me know I'm passionate. So, the main thing is having these people that know what they're doing. Everyone's going to have a learning curve. Me, I'm going to be right in. I'll know exactly on day one. I'll be ready.
So look, I just got word from my from the source that we got a copy of the song and it's being uploaded right now. So we're gonna keep talking until the end, till they give me word that it's ready, and we're gonna all rap on that song. All right, so we're gonna
Yes.
literally premiere the world
It's touchy.
premiere.
It's touchy. World premiere. World
Okay.
premiere. All hip hop.
All right. So let me. I don't know. All right. So I wanted to have, because we got so many hip hop heads here. I wanted to go off, but they telling me stay on script, Chuck. Stay on script. So talk. Buju Banton got back. He can now perform here in the United States. again after 14 long years. I saw him with Busta the other day, but
Right.
guess who had a little role in that?
Yeah. Me and my office. That was the last thing that my boss we did before he passed away, was to get him his visa here. So it was something that my boss was ecstatic about, you know, and I think, you know, the main thing, and it's, you know, it's and he has a concert this weekend in New York City, you know, ironically. But you know, it was something that, you know, our office has helped a lot of celebrities, you know, quiet as it's kept, you know, because of me being you know, in the office, but more so helping them navigate the system, you know, federally.
Why was that important, and what does that mean in a bigger context? You know,
well,
navigating
means,
the system.
Well, because the thing is that sometimes, you know, as I mentioned before, barriers. They put barriers up to intentionally block someone. You know, I'm not going to get into his story, but the main thing is in regards to having people. Sometimes people don't know it's super simple to get a passport, but the thing is that it all depends on how you go. You know, reach out to them. And as we were mentioning, if you need a passport, you need to contact your congressional office, because they're the ones that can have direct contact with the passport office, because it is a federal agency. Even with immigration, you know, people coming from overseas, or, you know, there was a heavy Haitian community that was trying to get back and forth to Haiti. So the main thing is reach out to your congressional office. You know, me, and once I'm elected, I will do everything in my power to help as many people as I possibly can. And the thing is, it's about education, you know, and educating them. So once we told them, they were like, "Oh man, that was easy." We were like, "Yeah, it's just more so relying on the process."
That's what's up. That's what's up. All right, y'all. I just want to say thank you to everybody. I think we need to do another one of these soon. Keep the conversations going. Without further ado, we have now don't leave, Maino, before you stay. If you stay on the line, because this is big. Shana Melius, Not Like Us premiere right now. All right, we're gonna wrap, but don't hang up. Here it is. All right.
My girl got bars.
Okay, I put my hat to the side for that one. Like, let me put my TI hat on.
Chuck, thank you so much for moderating this and convening this, and your guidance in this conversation. It was fire. It really was.
Oh, good. Appreciate y'all. It was great hearing y'all. Esso, I don't think we've ever met before, but it was great hearing you talk. We're gonna definitely build. And Maino, of course. And we all going, and Jazmyn, now I can talk to you. You was a Black Panther. I said, hold up. I didn't know you was about that life.
I'm about that life.
we definitely got to talk for sure. All right, y'all. I'm getting the rap sign. It's appreciated, and we're gonna build. All right, salute. Peace.
Later.